Joining us now, Doug Brinkley, presidential historian and professor of history at Rice. Jennifer Palmieri is former White House communications director under President Obama, former communications director for Hillary for America, and a co-host of MSNBC's How to Win 2024 podcast. I want to look back for a moment, Doug, at what Donald Trump said about presidential immunity while on the campaign trail earlier this year.
You have to give a president immunity. Otherwise, take a look at Harry Truman. He wouldn't have done, if you think Hiroshima, not exactly a nice act, but it did end the Second World War, probably, right? Nagasaki, he wouldn't be doing that. He said, I don't want to do that because my opponents will indict me.
I wonder what you think this ruling signals about how Donald Trump might approach a second term.
Well, it's deeply disheartening, and there's really nobody who could claim that our founders, the people who wrote our constitutions, wanted a president to have this kind of power, this sort of immunity. It's a big win for Trump, and somebody like him, who's a reckless operator. God only knows what damage could be done. I mean, he is going to be filled with hubris. Thinks he can use his Justice Department, if he got reelected, to go after ex-presidents, Clinton and Biden. He could go after, former FBI agents, CIA people. He could. It's a big step forward to having an authoritarian president, and I find it a sad moment that our Supreme Court came down with this ruling, but we still don't know all the ramifications of how this will play out down the line. The big thing is it's a day that Donald Trump can celebrate, because this isn't going to come up before the election now, except Biden will fundraise on it and say the stakes are high. You're going to get an authoritarian Trump with immunity granted to him by a right-wing Supreme Court if you don't elect me.
Jennifer, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer posted this reaction. This is a sad day for America and a sad day for our democracy. The very basis of our judicial system is that no one is above the law. Treason or incitement of an insurrection should not be considered a core constitutional power afforded a president. Does this change the stakes for November, do you think, in the eyes of voters? And how do Democrats message this?
Yeah, I mean, I did meet the press yesterday. And, on Saturday we do a prep call. And David Gillis, who's the executive producer, said, OK, we have the immunity case coming down. Jen, what do you think? It's such a big deal. Will it change the election? And I said, David, things just can't get any more amped up. And then it happened. And I mean, sad day. It's 5-alarm fire. I mean, when you read Sonia Sotomayor's dissent, and she says the president could have SEAL Team 6 kill a political rival and he would be immune. This is just, they have decreed, Trump's Supreme Court has decreed him a king. And now it's just up to voters to say, there are no guardrails now. Second term for Trump, there are no guardrails.
But the Chief Justice says, and I read this in the last hour, that this is a chilling doom scenario that the dissenters are making, wholly disproportionate to what the court actually did today.
And what assurance does anyone in America have that Supreme Court would ever tell this man no? I mean, this is just, it's not anything I ever expected to see. I had no notion that America was on this kind of collision course. But I think for the Biden campaign and for people who, after the debate, we see the voters seem to be hanging in there with him. And I think now I think that this is going to dramatically change the race in Biden's favor in terms of people understanding, they just said he could be king. They are never going to tell him no. And there is one way to stop him, and that's to elect Biden.
If I can just say, I've known you for a long time.
I know.
way back to some of my earliest campaigns in the 90s, or maybe early 2000s.
Yeah.
I worked in the White House when you were there. I sat in your office, and we had conversations at times of great national import. I don't know if I've ever seen you this emotional.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's so scary. It's just, it's like, Yeah, it is. I mean, when you read, everyone reads to read the dissents about what this can actually, what this could actually mean. And like when Sotomayor says, does it so chilly when she goes through all the things that he could do that he would be immune, he would consider to be official acts of office. And of course, Justice Roberts, couches this to try to make it seem as if there's some kind of limits here. But when have they ever limited him? And it's terrible that this impacts Jack Smith's trial, the underlying case. But I feel like that's kind of beside the point in terms of what they're signaling they're going to allow this president, if Trump is elected, that president to do.
This has been, Doug, and I'm maybe understating it a little bit, a very emotional time for a lot of people. An emotional time from what they saw on Thursday, an emotional day today in a ruling that maybe went beyond what they thought potentially even their worst case scenario realistically might be. And I want to read for you, Doug, what the Wall Street Journal said. No case to date has put Trump's personal interests so directly in the hands of the justices he appointed and from whom he has expected a sympathetic hearing. Moreover, 2 other justices have familial ties to Trump's cause. Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny Thomas, urged White House officials to take steps to block Biden from taking office. Justice Samuel Alito's wife, Martha Ann Alito, flew flags at the couple's homes like those carried by January 6 rioters, the justice has said. This is the Wall Street Journal. What does this likely mean for the public's view of, trust in, and how history will judge this court?
Well, history is going to judge that 2016 election as the pivotal moment. When Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton, he was able to then come in and put those 3 Supreme Court justices on, and they were ardent, right-wing, conservative, Federalist Society justices. I don't think anybody should be shocked by what the Supreme Court said today in the sense that at 6-3, we're living in a hyper-partisan time, and the fact that Trump got those 3 justices, and if he becomes president again, could get a 4th, tells you we're living in a thing, we're going backwards in time here. But the Supreme Court's been in crisis. I mean, FDR, after he won in 1936 election, and he tried to pack the Supreme Court. He tried to add justices to it, but he had his own party reining him in. The problem today is the Republican Party is just celebrating. They have no desire to rein Trump in. They want the Supreme Court to act in a hyper-partisan way, and they're getting the goods. So when I use the word sad, we can get more deep wounded heart about it. But the reality was, since they got those justices on, this has been we've seen Roe v. Wade disappear. We're seeing affirmative action disappear. We saw what they decided, the Supreme Court, about Chevron, meaning gutting environmental laws. We're living in a time of revolution. It's where the power of the presidency is gaining. And if Trump wins, he could probably would have Supreme Court in his hip pocket, the Senate and Congress. And that is a frightening scenario, because I don't know where one checks him at that point.
There's that old saying, Jen, don't get mad, get even. But I do wonder if this has a motivating impact, especially for some Democrats who felt maybe after Thursday.
Sure.
I don't know if I can really get into this. I don't know if I can put my heart and soul into this race.
Right.
Or does it have the opposite? Does what's going on with the president and still a decision that has to be made, and we haven't seen him except reading really off of a teleprompter, a speech that was written for him. Does this get lost in that?
Oh, I don't think this gets lost in that. If people are following along, I think I don't think the immunity decision gets lost because it is so and wow, 4th of July week.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically said, this is Justice Sotomayor saying, they're saying the president can be a king. I mean, and Doug said, moving as an authoritarian model. So I don't think, and I did before it happened on Saturday. I was like, I just don't know that this is going to really ratchet things up anymore. Everything's so ratcheted up and things are so divided. But it's so chilling to read the actual decision and then to understand the impacts that the minority opinion puts in there, that I do think it is it will be part of the other conversation. And I think, when it's like, this really isn't about individuals. This is about a larger principle. And I can see Republicans who maybe never in their life thought they would vote for a Democrat, voting for Biden after this. I think that and I don't know if the Supreme Court thought, presumably they thought they were helping him in some way. And by releasing this so late in the term. Yeah, thanks. But I think it's going to have an opposite effect. I think it's going to really galvanize. The argument against him now is like, none of this is spin. None of this is hyperbole on our part. He has said he's got his Project 2025. He has said what he's going to do. And his Supreme Court now told that there are no guardrails. If it's official, you don't need to be held accountable.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.